what will be the ideal day, an ideal life, ideal time? Just kind of like a general, just something that you feel. Also, that was a great day. And when we say generally, we say it's a great day. That great day is for many different circumstances, many different ways to defining that's great day. It don't have to be the same situations. You face that again and again and feeling a great day. Great day is so much established based on a relative experience. So-called we say great day, wonderful day. Okay. So if we ask such a question, what will be the ideal day, the great day, we might say, inspired, compassionated, less distracted. We might come up with many different theme or different ideas and different experience. Okay, and they're all kind of valid. They're all kind of valid. Okay, when we say meaningful day, a wonderful day, ideal day, is pretty much we're defining based on the spot, not necessarily. I just question what you think when you once you feel like, oh, that was a really great day, that was a wonderful day. When you have that kind of very noticeable experience, where you're defining this was a grateful day, wonderful day, and if you have any examples, okay. It is, basically my question is a wonderful day, grateful day, or is you're defining such a day based on a maybe we might say, this is based on a spontaneous. There's nothing logic and reasons, and it's something just very spontaneous that I feel that way, and I don't have to have why I'm feeling in such a that way. We can make a very simple, and I feel that's great. Or you can say, oh, that was a wonderful day because A, B, C. You have lots of reasons and logic and reasons. So here, key point is, in the Lamrim in explanations, they say like, how will make a meaningful life? Meaningful life, and this is like everybody wants to make a meaningful life, and a meaningful life. In the Lamrim, they say like, to make a meaningful life, you have to make a meaningful year. To make a meaningful year, you have to make a meaningful month, meaningful week. And really, it comes down to the meaningful day. Even when you trace down to that one, meaningful time, meaningful session, like basic in Lamrim, is like the strategy or the plan how to make a meaningful life is a meaningful making session and off session. Your time, what's happening now, isn't it? This is what's happening now. If you make a meaningful and worthwhile, or not what's happening now, if you don't waste, then basically you are not going to waste all your life, isn't it? So my key point over here is, so going back to it was a wonderful day because, that experience at the moment, at now. Or it have to be like something, because now I have a full concentration, now I can do this and that, some kind of more logic and reasons and some kind of like a looking, or just basically a meaningful life is something that basically you don't have to have any kind of plan, but at that moment, at the present moment, concept of that present moment, this sense of uplifted experience once you have in that. Okay, then that's the kind of meaningful time and meaningful moment. Meaningful moment is the foundation for meaningful life. Okay, can we say that? Meaningful life. And also in conventional world, when you say meaningful life is do something. Do something. Proactive. Engage. And it have some valid there, proactive is one vehicle, proactive is one vehicle. But again, if we not manage that vehicle very mindfulness way, it can become wasting a life, emptying the life, so therefore, so how you define meaningful moment? So basically, the question over here is how we define meaningful moment. What do you think? That's my question. Meaningful moment. We can have a lots of schedules and plans and and we can have a constantly feel kind of packed and rich and occupied. We really sometimes I feel like we are scared to have a space. Oh, now what time to do? Nothing to do. So we have this kind of scheduling and everything. It's have a productiveness. I'm not saying is a totally negative. Where is it coming from? We make it this kind of very packed, very squeezed and packed. So maybe this is our culture and how we see the meaningful life is like something that you're proactive. That means constantly your time need to be packed. Your time need to be constantly engaged. And maybe that is one side of the coin. Maybe we're missing another side of the coin totally. So now we know that part is very well scheduling, kind of making it kind of like an active, proactive, and be even related with our own spiritual practice. We can make a same kind of plan. 6 session or 8 session, we can make it busy and doing things, and we can have not only I'm saying like even in a retreat sense, we can make a very proactive, very engaged, go on, still can miss another side of the coin. So that's the kind of key thing here. So key point over here, in the individual journey, proactive in the external world, end of the day feeling empty within our own self. Proactive in a spiritual sense, very active, the retreat or all that things. Then within our individual, there's sense of empty. Okay, so I think there's something within our own self. That's another side of the coin. The finding, the another side of the coin, the finding. What do you think? Is this a kind of satisfaction, or what do you think? The another side of the coin. You're doing so many things. You're proactive. Is this a sense of as an individual, how you relate it with that proactive with the spiritual practice, proactive with your own conventional world. The another side of the coin, is this that like how you, not just doing it, but how you handle that things. How you carry the ball. So you doesn't poke the ball or drop the ball. So here, so meaningful life or beneficial life is a combination of a proactive and, do you think, kind of like a gentleness, kindness towards to that action or that activity? So we humans, sometimes we lose, either we fall into the so active or non-active, or so active or non-active, losing that balance because we have not, I feel, maybe lack of a pay attentioning for that gentleness. Is it this gentleness? Now we're using this kind of strange word of a gentleness and kindness towards the action and the intention and so on and so forth. So what that really means? What that really means? So there's a something within our own self, how we relate it with our spiritual practice, how we relate it with our. It looks like the problem is it's not the situation, the external world, what we have to do. The mind, how we handle, how we manage, how we start such a practice. Okay, so really the key point is spiritual practice or spiritual training should be the other side of the coin that not necessarily knowing the detail, but the coin that really how it carries, the kind of like a container. Isn't it? I mean, like now you say spiritual practice, the Dharma practice. What we are really training here, we don't need to train what we have to do. What we have to do, even in a spiritual sense or conventional sense, what we have to do is quite clear. And for a certain extent, how we're going to do it, that technicality aspect, no problem. There's a crucial element, what we are missing, is the fundamental foundation, how we relate it. I think this is a constantly missing part of the piece, that there's a sense of a whole, there's this kind of emptiness within the. Okay, so here. So now the question comes: how we feel that gap, how we train that. What is the step number one to what will be the if? Okay, as makes sense. I know what I have to do. I know all the steps and all the things, and I'm doing it, and fully aware. But there's something that I'm ruining entire. there's a something, when you're trying to make a bread or something, you follow, then something somehow you ruin your bread. You're trying to bake your bread. There's something that's really that we are. So here, I think the spiritual practice, the meaningful life, all that things, I think is this kind of fundamental how we relate it. and of course in the sometimes you have a question like, what I'm doing here, why I'm here, and this is a good question in one point of view, because you are thoroughly engaging for the technicalities, you are thoroughly engaging into the entire, and why I'm here is basically, we're not connecting with the fundamental foundation, is the that mind that is almost, if you look at in the almost three step, the fundamental step, the technicality, and all the activities, and step number second and third there's a limited joy. You experience some joy, but limited joy. And in the worst case, the joyfulness die also. Okay, you can be very proactive, but and then certain times the joy die. The joy die, and is the joy was killed, or joy was disappeared, or we haven't nurtured the joy, or then we say, oh, this is part of the life. And things comes, you get excited and get lost. So in a life, things comes, you get excited, and they kind of diminish. That kind of joy, the joy we understood, is excitement joy. That is not really the joy we're talking in a Dharma, like joyful effort. Within the six paramita, joyful effort is not something that all the time uplifted and excited is a state. It is so here, this kind of joy is almost, I think, sometimes I feel like this concept of an inner value, I think it's nothing different than this joy, something that you really respect, something that you really value, something that you really care about it, something that it is not kind of a superficial conditional approach, something that much more deeper. Okay, so so over here, this fundamental foundation, that how we, it's almost like the really, when things go wrong from here in the fundamental level, no matter how much we are thorough in the second step and third step, it's in worst case, concept of a burnout, concept of okay. So what will be the how you say, symptoms or warning sign that we are going into that direction? Haven't really pay attention the fundamental foundation, but really thoroughly pay attention and thoroughly engaging the second step and the third step. I feel the journey into the second step, all the technicalities, and the third step, all the plans and so on and so forth. In the journey, if you have an experience of any kind of reaction, I have to do it, I want to do it, but while we are doing, there's a constantly kind of bubble of a reaction. Bubble of reaction bursting again and again and again. And, also you are really reacting, and you have that kind of, I think this is something that warning sign that we are taking this proactive or whatever that journey with sooner or later it's going to explode entire. Okay, so I think that's if we sense some kind of aggression or intenseness, then the really question comes: do we have anything that don't have that kind of flavor in our life? If do any kind of our experience have not having that kind of flavor? We human, maybe we feel like I'm not capable. Either I have to be 100% there and be very, stressed about, or is there a middle ground that we can manage? Okay, so basically, spiritual practice or meditation is basically, it is not to, it is a kind of constantly moving forward and overcoming overcoming wherever we are stuck. Practice is that. So here, if that is the case, so the key point over here is like that. If our mind is constantly thinking for future, that can generate fear, definitely. Okay, if our minds are constantly thinking for future, something what to, it will generate certain level of anxiety. If our mind is constantly thinking about the past, feel of kind of like a powerless. You cannot change anything. Okay, so now the mind we see, the fundamental mind that I'm saying, that fundamental foundation mind that really can handle very very harmonious way the second step and third step. Now this mind is going back to the mind that have a this kind of present moment mind. Okay, I was saying the present moment mind. Okay, let me label as a present moment mind. The mind that is basically not dropping the ball, not really tightening the ball. Is basically a mind that really holds all the strategies, all the engagement future plan is kind of like the container, basically. So basically, the training will be how the training will be way of holding the ball. In the spiritual training, maybe we can say this really our mind training, thought training, lojong training is right now is almost like eggs on the monkey's hand. Either squeeze or either throw or something. So here, thought training, mind training, okay, something way we handle this journey of life, journey of our mind, not too tight, not totally loosen up. So this will be like basically lojong, thought training, okay. So this is like what we lojong or lojong or thought training. Then the question comes, what compassion does rule for that kind of training? Now the question comes, and the wisdom, what kind of training brings in the wisdom? So now here, compassion. In that journey, number one will be, without usually we are not pay attentioning, then will be less compassion for our own self and absolutely no compassion for another living being. So that's the immediate behavior, immediate behavior in the journey into our life, or is a kind of lack of compassion for yourself and a lack of compassion for, now this word lack of compassion for myself. What you mean that I'm totally taking care of myself? This whole thing I'm doing for myself. What you mean I have less compassion for myself? So now we need to really, this will be immediately say, I'm doing this for myself, entire, day and night. What you mean I don't have a compassion and not taking care of myself? Okay, so again now here, what this means, compassion over here, this response, I'm doing entire for myself. The minute we think that we are focusing to the tasks and the things that we have to do the plant, exactly we are focusing into that one side of the coin. Okay, there is a whole another side of the coin was totally ignored. I'm doing it for myself. What do you mean I'm not compassionate for myself? So here, immediately, our mind is so much trained into external things. External things. This, yes, external looking point of view, yes, doing for yourself. But you're doing for yourself by attacking yourself. This kind of, sometimes we have this, some disease that attacks your own, they're all meant to, leave you, but they attack you back. So it's like a similar basically, in a physical sense, we have this the symptoms that attacking our own symptoms. In a samsaric journey, it's pretty much something like that. We're going through this kind of journey, and our own immune system or systems attacking our own self. So that's kind of like a, I think that we don't want to attack. We're taking care and taking all the medicine and everything. But there's this, So similarly over here, now into the, so what another side of the coin is missing, and that making kind of attacking for yourself. Although this word is strange, attacking is not intentionally, is not intentionally. And lack of compassion, lack of self-compassion is not intentionally at all. Okay, it's not intentionally you're thinking, I don't want to have a compassion for myself. We'll never think about that. And in the same way, our immune systems are never designed to attack, that kind of things. But here, something's going on, some things we are not paying attention, something that karmically we are not purifying. Or so over here is, so basically, the ignorance, basically, the immediate condition is a lack of attention for self, or I don't know, is this a more, self in terms of a deeper sense, not the external things. So basically lack of attention giving for our own internal value or internal awareness. So here, so although there's no intention to not having compassion for your own self, but due to lack of attention for our own inner world or inner value or inner awareness, and then that ignorance, I think, creating all these action which you're doing for yourself, kind of attacking for yourself. Okay, so basically, Dharma practice is not about dropping the second step and third step. When you say, oh, now I want to do Dharma, now I want to do only Dharma. When you say, now I want to do only Dharma, maybe now you're doing only one part of the coin only. Okay, so here, so Dharma training is Lojong training, and thought training is basically pay attention for our own inner value, and then engaging and applying into our own external world. Maybe that's the kind of like the practice, that kind of like okay. So that now it sounds like if that's the case, Rinpoche, so now you're saying simply somehow don't be too attached or don't be too detached. That's it, huh? So in nutshell, so basically you're saying not be too attached and not be too detached. In a way, yes, is okay. Yeah, we can say that. So journey of our life, the another side of the coin, that we are misunderstanding or not pay attention is basically neither over-attach or neither detach. In a summary way, yes, and Lojong is really at that part. Lojong is that part, way away. Yes, okay. So, and if that is the case, if that is the inner job description, you have external job description, we have all the tasks, and the inner job description is, okay, now your job description is, one part is you need to do this without attachment and without detachment. Okay. And I remember one time, I don't know, in New York or somewhere, and these things have quite changed. The train, I wasn't trying to go in train's timing was the information keep changing. And I kind of got frustrated, and I went there and trying to say, the person was really, neither attached or neither detached for my reaction. It's just doing the job. Was really good. Whatever reaction comes, neither detached or attached. Okay. If you want to waste your time, go ahead. It's just giving that kind of message. So really the key point is how we keep our life more, how you say, joyful or meaningful, or that's the kind of the key thing over here. It's not about your schedules are full. Yeah, there's a lot of things to do. It is so key point over here is like how to keep our life joyful and meaningful. What that really means. We need to getting that part very clear. Okay, is that part. Okay, so now the question comes, another part, this inner job description looks like not too easy. All world is going in a different direction. All world is saying, do it with a passion, do it with do it with 100%. If you're not doing not 100%, you're not So what that means, that's also really true. Do it 100%. That's really true. Can we do with 100%, 100% with a passion, without attachment and detachment? So that's I think really the key point over here. So basically, if we say, okay, what will be that if yes, it sounds like really wonderful. Okay, if that is the case, then I want to see how this works. Let me see what step number one. What should I take it? What will be the first step? Okay. So in that case, step number one is basically this called meditation and transforming our motivation. Basically, training step number one will be constantly trying to generating your mind, your intention expansion of our human intention will be the step number one training. So that's like how, because we all the time really intention is not able to expand. Motivation is not able to expand. Motivation is getting narrow, so therefore this whole step number second and third becomes kind of narrow journey. It's just because of that kind of. So here, step number one is that my training will be, I need to do expansion of our motivation 6 times a day. That's my acupuncture for ego. Releasing the tension. So if this is the exercise, okay, this is the exercise, okay, I have to do morning, I have the bodhicitta prescription, something that, my exercise will be like something that I need to vision per my purpose of life to liberating all sentient being, although in the thought of my mind things maybe I'm not possible. Even sometimes you may discrediting yourself regardless. Same like the medicine. Sometimes you're taking medicine, you have a doubt a little bit. I'm not sure this is helping or not whatsoever, I'll take it. In the same way, I think bodhicitta, this kind of like expansion of a human motivation, into the expansion of a human motivation, with a visualization, with a kind of thought, kind of habitude. So this is, I think, the training ground number one. Basically, it almost we need to tell for our own self, just don't ask me questions, let's just do it. So that's kind of like and even we can ask, how many times I expand my motivation? How many I genuinely expand and opened up my heart? Maybe there's this, we have a less oxygen in there, which really create this kind of rigidness. So here, this kind of like training ground number one is this kind of. So therefore, going back to this kind of like a meditation. Meditation, I'll start my meditation in the morning. The meditation in the morning is basically it's not about shutting down entire what I'm thinking and reacting. Mainly my morning meditation will be the expansion of my soul, my spirit. If we say that expansion of, so that's kind of like the constant yoga, mind yoga, constantly expanding. Because we start our life with a not expansion of our mind and heart, and then we have this whole journey of a very stressful journey, and then I think really this is like there's no space, and then we have asked questions like what's going on, like there's some kind of no space, crowd, and worst case is empty, totally feeling empty, like okay. Okay, so training step number one is a constantly expansion of our motivation. Okay, that will be like it's kind of like without asking any question, just kind of just expanding, just expansion out. That kind of expression. Meditation is sometimes we need to feel. It is some kind of inner expression. It is not necessarily you're trying to kind of be serious and trying to concentrate. It has to be some kind of inner expression, expressing. So we need to, sometimes we internally we are, even within the motivation level we are introverted. So meditation is kind of like a kind of extroverted. I'm not saying extroverted into a physical sense. As a meditation is you're trying to, instead of kind of closing up, you're trying to express. Meditation is about inner expression. I think we have to think that meditation. Sometimes we have like meditation. Don't think. If you think, it's not meditation. Don't think. Don't think. One time Robina told one of his students, hey, think. I remember, what's his name? John or something. Hey, think. She shouted, hey, think. So anyway, meditation is something expressing. It's very personal. It's very emotional. It's expressing. It have a beautiful thinking. It's not aggressive thinking, So, sometimes our meditation, I should not think. Oh, you're thinking. You're not meditating. Don't think. Okay, thinking, conceptualizing, Now, of course, there's this kind of ruminating, this on and on, on and on. This on and on can happen also in a spiritual practice. If anything goes on and on, that's a problem. It doesn't matter, whatever it is. basically, we can become obsessed with our own commitment practice. We can be obsessed with our own practice and meditation. Anything we go to the obsess, yes, it is a problem. It is going on and on. Okay, so over here, my meditation, of course, inner expression. It is a kindness thinking. Okay, it's a thinking involved, but it is a less kind of ruminating or obsess. So just kind of again, sometimes we human have a bad habit. Like something you really like, then you want to do overdoing. Overdoing, and this kind of, okay, then you really ruin entire in the meditation advice. This, okay, even you feel like I can go more half an hour, there's a stop. The advice was to just stop. Even you feel you're fresh, and usually you make it like, why I stop? I really feel, and concentration is going very well and everything's going perfect, why you stop? Usually in meditation at the beginning training, they say, okay, you stop. You need to stop. That is the perfect time of stopping once you feel a fully joy and fully fresh. And usually, in our sense, when we stop, once we get tired. When we're tired, when we stop, you leave the seeds for meditation of that kind of tiredness for your next meditation. Okay, so of course, if the seed is tired, the sprout will be some kind of tired sprout. Okay, so here, okay, so one thing is that this kind of like, now I think this is also important in our life. Sometimes if we feel a little bit heavy and some kind of like a purposeless or something like that, I think we should kind of look at in our own self. Question number one: did I open up my heart? Did I have this kind of expansion of my motivation or my heart? Did I ever did that exercise? If I haven't done that exercise, yes, this I can expect this one. Okay, I can expect, yeah, okay, I need to, same thing like, sometimes when you feel like a really kind of like a tense our body, you feel like, okay, did you drink enough? did you have dehydrated enough? If you don't have it hydrate enough, sorry, we are good at dehydrating. So hydrate enough, it's question number one. In the same way, in our emotional world, in the conscious world, the way to hydrating is a furthermore, basically, opening up our intention, our motivation. Basically, I think in a way it's like when we dehydrate, circulation becomes trouble. And then pain starts. In the same way, I think in the emotional world, I think it's going kind of similar way. Sometimes I use this terminology, spiritually dehydrate. So the way of spiritually we getting dehydrated is basically like of opening of our human intention. So exercising our human exercising, I think that basically it's nothing about the devotion and so on and so forth. It's just kind of like exercising our human expansion of our human intention. 6 times a day or 5 times a day or whatever. That's expansion. Okay, so that's one thing. Now another part is fear related with the self. Okay? Another exercise, I would say, like fear related with the self. Like, for example, sometimes you say, like, in a social setting, then now I get like tense and I get choked and I'm not able to move. I feel a block. And this, in the conventional world, we will talk that. And this whole thing is there's not only opening up our intention and motivation, but there's another side also. The fear is constantly interfering. Fear is constantly interfering. Okay, so the problem with the fear is, sometimes, healthy fear. So some fear looks like a part of, we needed that fear, otherwise we become like really unable to survive or protect. So what is the over here? How we as a human being, how we related with our own fear. Okay, now this is important. Are we too attached with our own fear? Okay, and are we too attached, too obsessed with our own fear? Maybe there is something how we are not managing. Two problems. The one problem, not opening up our human motivation, our intention. Another part, we are too much attached, embracing our own fear. Okay. So now here, I think what that means is fear is how we deal with our own fear. What will be the exercise for our own related with the fear? Okay. So that's, I think, the one element related with the general advice, related with how we deal with our own human fear. Is the general advice is constantly meditate in impermanent. Okay, so it's the fear and meditation and impermanent. How these two is connected? Usually we get question like how we connect these two. How the meditation of impermanent helps to fear. So that really requires to understand our own fear. Fear maybe is constantly braking, like you're driving and braking. In a physical sense, once you're driving, you're moving. When you get fear, maybe mostly you trying to be still. Is anything, animal and human being. When you face fear, we want to frozen, a little bit kind of stuck, or we'll do that. So so over here, basically, there is a state of kind of like a blockage, in a state of experience of a blockage. Fear have a constantly blocking. Block. So this, we will use the word block, is not external, it's emotional or inner experience. Basically that block is nothing different than kind of like permanent. Kind of like a minute it feel permanent, conscious or subconscious. It have this kind of like, almost like permanent, almost like forever. It's just somehow, it's just kind of like that kind of shock, permanent shock. So permanent shock creates this, I think, the fear. Okay, so basically, another part of the exercise is, basically meditation of impermanent. Impermanent usually starts with that impermanent is kind of like a commonly we don't like, we want to be eternal, but we cannot escape. We have to accept, and that's the door to meditating in impermanent. Okay, then through that kind of a nature of your self-existence, I'm not here forever. Nobody is here forever. And I think meditation and impermanence, not necessarily thinking all the time nobody will be here forever. It's not like that kind of all the time on kind of, oh, I won't be here forever, nobody will live forever. It is just a sense of a subconscious, of a conscious awareness we're trying to develop. There's a sense of awareness that kind of, it don't have to be constantly thinking, oh, I will not be here forever, my enemy will not go away forever, so I don't have to be angry, I don't have to be frustrated. I think it's not necessary. I think in the underline how we connect it, how we interact, in underline we're trying to build kind of awareness, sense of impermanent. It's not necessarily thinking of impermanent. There is some kind of like a basically, usually your friend, your relative, the people that you know so much, you've almost kind of pinned down. You have like kind of emotionally pinned down. You kind of like nailed it. This is that. This is that. You're like almost you tied it all thing. You feel like, when you feel that, you feel like you kind of grounded. So you want to pin down. You definitely want to pin down. If you're not able to pin down, you Google it and Google it and then pin down. So this is like a constantly this sense of sense of this kind of like like a pinning down. So here impermanent is basically, again, it's not so much thinking about nobody will be here forever. It's basically emotionally kind of where you're not trying to, how you say, the cowboys, they carry this lasso. Okay, I think that the fear comes from the lasso. We're all the time with the lasso, I think, trying to catch. Okay, so basically impermanent meditation is so much about let's free everybody. Why I need to pin down. Okay, this is the attitude of meditation of impermanent. It's not so much, and that kind of like an openness, not creating fence and lassos, and that thing is basically awareness of impermanent. So that's, I think, the second exercise if we constantly do it, okay? There's a kind of like accepting, I think the accepting. Impermanent brings us so much acceptance. What it is and the nature of reality. So again, in a journey in our life, sometimes in a fear for accepting. And sometimes we go through denial and fear for accepting, not courage enough. So permanent view really gives you that kind of small protection. You kind of pin down and you kind of, some level of, again, it comes from sense of insecure, sense of a feeling of insecure, and then you're kind of creating that kind of things. So here, totally openness, and so impermanent meditation, okay, is started with that impermanent. Is started of some kind of releasing that lasso, that which you're trying to pin down, kind of releasing that. So there's an openness. Okay, there's this kind of openness. So basically, if we look at it, another side of the coin, as I'm talking earlier, will be open heart, expansion of intention, and awareness of impermanent. Okay. So now, in the ancient Kadamba Lamas, they mentioned that if I don't meditate morning in impermanent, my noon becomes caught into the permanent grasping. If I don't meditate noon impermanent, my afternoon becomes caught into the. So it is the same kind of, it's just same thing, like medicine. You take morning medicine, and then it able to push you up to the noon. Then you take noon medicine. In the same way, I think the exercise of expansion of our human intention, and exercise of impermanent awareness, exercising of impermanent awareness. So So 3 times a day or 6 times a day. And then particularly, I think in the West, lots of sleeping problem, sleeping problem, and so I think evening meditation is maybe very important. Although in Tibet there's a do meditation morning, but I think in the West, I think then maybe because I'm tired, I cannot do my meditation. Meditation is putting down all your baggage. You need to see. Meditation is you're not trying to carry more luggage. Meditation is all about how you say. In the evening, they basically cannot sleep because you are carrying all your gears and all the equipments. You're trying to climb the life. You're sleeping with all the gears and baggage and luggage and all that things. So evening meditation is basically way to how to put back all the gears and luggage and if you're a climber, then visualize as a climber and how to put back all these things. So evening meditation is, so although I'm making this kind of metaphor, but the evening meditation is how to let go. All the daytime you accumulated all this crap, how to let go. The evening meditation is something, how to, you are not going to carry, you are not going to sleep with all these things. How are you going to put back? How you put back where it belongs. So evening meditation is something that so in the evening meditation, if you do more like a more Shine meditation, it's not so much about the concentration. Shine have lots of meditation about detachment also. It's not so much about concentration. It's not about to kind of hold your mind to pin down. It's about huge majority Shine meditation is, how to have a gentle detachment. Kind of not without a reaction. So it is kind of like a, almost concept of a let go. How you can kind of let go the things, the karma that we accumulated within the 24 hours, within the day, within the 9 hours. How we can kind of gently let go of that. Okay, so so evening. So if we as an individual person, let's look at, this is not so easy. This let going thing is not easy. I don't like to sleep with my jackets and luggage and all the gears together, but I cannot. I cannot. There's all the reasons. Just all that things. So I think it's all interdependent. So the day we started with the expansion of our heart and our motivation, and we kind of carry through the awareness and understanding, or as much possible, of impermanent, then we're in a good position in the evening to able to not get scared to leave back the baggage. Okay. Once we are so close in the dates, our motivation is narrow, our human intention is narrow, and all that things. Yes, evening we're not able to relax, we're not able to put back all the gears and baggage because we are so wrapped up. It's not about that. We are kind of duct taped together with our baggage and gears. Yeah, there's no way I can get out. Okay, it's almost like I taped it myself. So here, So I think in kind of building momentum, we are going with our own life, but there is a side by side, a spiritual momentum we are building. There is one kind of spiritual insurance is going. Another side that you have expansion of motivation, awareness of our own impermanent, and the evening you're able to let go of that. So therefore, okay, so that's our training. That's at least what we can do. But once we do this quite often, or let me say, usually in the West, we say like 3 weeks, is that 21 days, and if you do, then there's some kind of result supposed to come up. So if we do that, it not necessarily guarantees everything will be perfect. And again, this is an important practice that we apply in our life. But again, we have to be so open. We have to be open. In the airplanes, there's a pilot say, okay, now you can take off. We are hoping, better to put your seatbelt, but anyway, sometimes unexpected turbulence may come up. So that's the kind of thing. In a spiritual point of view, unexpected turbulence is a karmic turbulence. It's not necessarily some kind of, our karma is vast, and we are doing our spiritual practice consistent and disciplined, but that not necessarily it will be an entire journey will be smooth, because karmic situation is infinite and vast. Okay, so now really question comes then, okay, I have no time for meditation. There's no time for meditation. We all think, particularly my friend, first she says she wants to become Buddha when she's 36. And first and then I said, yeah, that's really, that trust and that belief really good. Okay, I'll respect. And I said, yeah, that's really wonderful, Teresa. And then sometime later, maybe 65, it changed, postponed, after retire. And then there's no time. So it's a really interesting, my practice, I have no time. I have no practice, I have no time. So this is one of really big obstacle in a Dharma practitioner in the West. Many times it's a practice. So practice, not I was only able to practice when I retire. So what that means, practice. So I think if you look at it, the practice means I'm reciting all these sadhanas, all this mantra recitation. If we defining this is a practice, what we're seeing, recitation and so on and so forth. Yes, when you have full-time job, we don't have 2-3 hours to go through the entire sadhana. Okay? So now practice and meditation over here is a meditation really is an expansion of a motivation and planting the seeds of awareness of impermanent. If only these two things, I think, so basically creating our own sadhana based on clearly knowing the key point and creating our own sadhana, our own prayer. Something that's doable, something that can be effective, something that means very strong for our own self. Any verse, even awareness and intention to opening up, expansion of our motivation can be powerful. Just having that intention, so therefore. Uh, and the time, meditation time is maybe, maybe we are looking for time. Is what is this time? I'm looking for time. Maybe for us, time have to be some kind of distracting. Otherwise, we cannot define for time. Time have to have time require some kind of distraction, some kind of stimulation. There's not necessarily there's no time, but maybe there's no this kind of there's no caffeine. Time equals caffeine. Maybe it's some kind of we see how we see time, how we understood time. Time is something that something have to kind of excite it, or something that if there's nothing, these things, that time doesn't exist, or time have to have some kind of something that you are, I don't know, grasping, or time, there's this, although we label time, but behind the time, maybe we are also need to, when you say, I have no time, there's no time, when we say like, I have no time to meditation, because meditation asks me to change the culture of my time, and I don't want to change the culture of my time. What that really means. So when you say time for meditation is changing the culture, a slight changing of the culture. So basically, again, sometimes it's interesting when you say no time. What that really means? I'm totally squeezed. We feel totally squeezed. But still we can put many things. Still we can squeeze except the meditation. Still we're squeezed, but except the meditation. It have a time and spirit except for the meditation. We can fill it up, except no meditation. So it is that's the quite we can say yes. I have no time. Time is squeezed, quite packed. Yes, but still, something still I can fit in except the meditation. Except the, we can still we can push it. Still we can squeeze like a Indian bus. You can push, can you just throw in. So I think this is interesting. Our response is a legit response. We say no time, but we need to understand more further when we say this. I have no time. I have no time for practice. I have no time for this. We need to understand. Okay, this needs to be. So now also is important how we build the time, how we create the time, how we build the time. I think the method for how to creating space and time for meditation is the common advice is just as in doing very short. I say sweet and short. I say short and sweet. That's the I think the common advice. Okay, doing. Okay. Okay. point here how we make meaningful life and purposeful life. That's the main question, like how we can basically again, another way to look at it, time without regret, day without regret, week without regret. Okay, so that's again another way to look at it. Do I have any regrets? So one way to look at into the spiritual practice is time without regret, day without regret. Okay, so so usually concept of a regret, not so much regret, maybe regret may come from many, lots of time I feel like wasting, my life was wasting. Regret related with I feel my life is wasting. I feel that my life is kind of slipping from my hand. Like somehow kind of regret is, you may doing so many things, but something that still feel that losing. Okay, something losing, regret in terms like, okay, so that's again, we need to look at it, once we feel kind of wasted. Now this is a very interesting, sometimes people who are doctor, they say it's not necessarily I like to do something different. People sometimes you say all people are in the wrong place. What they like to do, what they're doing is not necessarily what they like to do. All kind of like, and again this concept of a regret, regret. Okay, now over here. Particularly related with the time, like, okay, time is just, okay, basically, generally speaking, regret comes from I say, lack of or division of joy. Okay, in a life, division of joy or lack of joy, or that kind of things. Okay, so this is a regret comes from that. I think the fuel, fuel for regret is a lack of joy, and particularly a lack of rejoy. Sometimes we do something and it is President Trump says A plus or B plus or something like that. This is not kind of something like that. Something that's more egomanic. Now this one, we have a lack of supported attitude, basically. We have a much more judgmental attitude than the supported attitude. Okay, so. So even we can have a 3-month retreat or so on, doing all the sadhanas, but if there is a lack of supportive attitude, joyful attitude, And then yes, of course we will regret, also regret. It was not good. It was a crappy session for 2 months. Oh yeah, all this and that. So and it is a kind of interesting. Sometime in the world they say like, constantly push your limit. That's also good. Constantly push, for further. And where we're pushing further is we've been so unkind and judgmental towards our own self and another, and that the method of constantly moving forward, we have that kind of pushing, okay, like of a supportive attitude, okay. So anyway, key point over here is this is a complicated between a supported attitude and this kind of like a perfectionism. Perfectionism in one way is a good, but we also able to slow down. We need to have a kind of perfectionism, have a breathing kind of exercise. It's contrast, it release, it have to have that. Our perfectionism is like an absolute, and that's kind of really the problem starts. Okay, so so I think this kind of like a supportive attitude, supported attitude is in an individual who maybe not necessarily karmic cause and effect that kind of like a mentality, but in a general sense, supportive attitude is basically supported attitude built up based on a full cause, based on awareness of a full cause and condition you invested. Is it making sense? It's almost like this concept of what you call free will, or that kind of, can we control your destiny and so on and so forth. From the karmic point of view, yes, you should do entire whatever, not the result, but the cause. You need to have full free will for entire cause and condition what you create. The result is complex. So in the same way, when you say supported attitude, is something that supported attitude need to be built up based on the awareness of that you invested, you put it entire your cause and condition. And supported attitude is need to build up based on some kind of awareness. It's not just like, just be okay, whatever happens, or kind of very, in a kind of like a elusive, no. In a supported attitude, then there is a let go for result. You are not hanging and pulling the result. You have a fully engagement into the cause, and based on that, you have a fully supported attitude. Things fall apart, you have a fully supported attitude. Things goes on, you have a fully supported attitude. It's not necessary. So fully supported attitude is a attitude that's really focused into the cause and the action. It's not about the result. Sometimes we have so much into the result, the result. Okay? So I think, this kind of this concept of sometimes we human being kind of goal-oriented. This concept of a goal-oriented is basically not pay attention for the cause and fully giving attention to the result, like a kind of like a free will, destiny, so on and so forth. So fully supported attitude create based on full awareness and engagement of the cause and the condition. So basically, freedom from result. Freedom from result is the fully supported attitude. Once we are attached to the result, we get tied it, like a freedom. Okay, I'm when blah 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 blah. Okay. Any question, interaction? Now even I exhausted myself.
Just to end that, the fully supported attitude is joy, or just then you'll be able to realize joy. Is joy on top of that, or is that the thing?
I think that itself.
Okay.
I think the fully supportive attitude is so much accepting. I think that accepting is the joy. Fully supported attitude is really kind of accepting. It's just like that accepting have a unconditional accepting. Usually we want to only accept the result, the perfect, the excellent. So in this case, unconditional acceptance. The result can be totally negative. It is totally fine. Okay? So this is a supportive attitude, is an unconditional acceptance, which is a really joy. Like joy, again, the word joy, we associated with the culture of, some kind of like a excitement or uplifted. But in this case, unconditional acceptance is a fully openness. There's no push and pull, so fully openness. Yes.
You mentioned about not finding time for meditation, and how we can find there's almost a manic feeling for filling it in with something else. We can put in more things. And I volunteer at an elementary school, and I was thinking, when the kids come in from recess, they are all so hyper. And what the teacher does at that time is make them read books. So they come in all hyper, sit down quietly, read books. And then after that, they are ready to go on to whatever lesson. So maybe what we should do when we feel really hyper, that we need, instead of filling in more stuff, we need to tell ourselves that our brain, our whole being, needs some meditation. We need to calm down so that after we have had the meditation, that we can actually think and function better than if we just kept on going full speed ahead, no idea what we're doing.
That's really good point. Maybe like not necessarily reading, but some kind of breathing exercise what kids can do.
Any kind of meditation where you are not doing something.
Yeah. You're not kind of packing something furthermore.
It's not the hyperness. You
Exactly.
get rid of the hyperness for a while.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
You said that the meditation in the morning, we were setting, I'm really focusing on meditation at night, where we say we close off like the stuff from the day so we don't sleep on it. But then the meditation in the morning, does it not come back? I mean, you've cleared your mind so that you can sleep well. But then if you start your meditation in the morning, my problem is I wake up in the morning and thinking of all the things, that I've you have to do the future, the past. It's hard to clear the slate starting in the morning. It's very easier to clear the slate at night because I don't have to do anything. I mean, I just go to bed and I don't have to do anything. But the morning is when I bring back those things that I supposedly cleared. How I just don't know how to do that.
Morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Now again, we are world in kind of like everything is a deadline, like we are following deadline. So of course, this kind of culture of a deadline, we have like immediately kind of gives us shock and like, yeah, we have kind of hypered and we have to engage. So okay, that's really true what I have to do. And also it's kind of some kind of stimulation. That's some kind of caffeine for mind. It's like, I have to do this. It's like, but now the question comes, that is the step number second and third. We are going through the second number, earlier I was talking the step number second and third. We are kind of jump into there. So the key point over here is that what we're missing in the step number one, in the meditation will be the much more into the step number one. In that step number one, it is not disconnected with what the tasks are. Step number one is totally connected with the step number second and third, but it is you are basically in that sense you have all your gear. Now basically you are putting your gear without too tight, without too loose. In the same way, this requires some kind of meditation into something that you are able to carry, that kind of container that hold the task without not too much strongly holding or not too. So this, our habit is holding immediately. Okay. So without that kind of grasping or tightness, stressness, and again, it's have also requires some kind of like a letting go meditation. Okay.
In the morning.
In the morning also, like, and I think it can be combination, kind of letting go. Maybe that open up the expansion of our own motivation practice. Okay, so it basically same thing you are doing, but in a different perspective. Letting go and expansion of. Then you have that. Is only can letting go once you have expand our own motivation or the intention, or there's some kind of expansion. So that's I will say. So. So maybe, in the evening, not necessarily luggage of a task, but maybe evening we might have a luggage of a reaction for the task. Lots of uninvited, unplanned, unplanned luggage maybe bringing into night. It don't have that kind of like a task-driven, but something is almost like a pollution or so in the evening clearing up or even to go more further to morning meditation to have a much more strong or much more effective. It depends for evening meditation, night before, how we kind of set up. If night before we set up really rough and kind of unkind, then morning meditation pretty much, because it's a cause and effect. We cannot, okay, tomorrow fresh start. Tonight was sometimes we might do that, but it established karmic imprint so much in the many layers. So really some kind of let go meditation or expansion meditation or something that seeds we can prepare night before, and the morning we are much more well prepared. So I think it's again, evening when we establish, if we have a mind, our things are much more calmer. Maybe when you said evening much more calmer, is maybe our neurons are much more calmer, but our consciousness are still kind of like a shooting. Element is tired, but the awareness is, the mind is not tired. It can be many different layers, but I think still in evening having this kind of very simple meditation, kind of let going, kind of. So basically, evening Mahamudra, morning Madhyamika meditation. That kind of.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
I'm kind of from Japan, so a little bit different culture, but I wonder what's meditation. It sounds like things to do.
Okay, meditation. Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like people talks about here, and mainly like Westerners, Buddhists. It's like there is something to do.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation, right?
Okay.
Right. It's just like you have to do or things to do.
Okay.
Or it's sort of like this, right? And if you something like meditation, you could choose it. Sounds like there is meditation. You could do you
Choose.
right?
Okay.
But which is based on I want to do meditation or something like that. But for us, it's often happens that no matter what you like or not, there is meditation. And the moment of meditation or something it's not things to do. That's first time I'm really surprised that when people hear the meditation is like some things to do.
Things to do. Okay.
Right. So it feels like really different on meditation. I think, not I think, but what I grown up with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't know the Tibetans or some other Asian people, but meditation is not things to do or something that you could choose.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like in you. It's inside. It's already inside in you yourself. You carry the meditation.
That's true.
It's
Okay. That's good point. That's good point.
It's not. It's like if it's things to do or outside of you, it's more like a material, right?
Exactly.
And for us, it's more like not material. It's part of body or like
Part of self. Okay.
Yeah. I've always kind of gap in between meditation, what we think or hear people say.
I mean, like I think it is the approach of a language and how we communicate, dualistic language and non-dualistic language. And ultimate goal is the non-dualistic, of course. But at the beginning, yes, I want to meditate into the compassion, and because I have too much aggression. So because what we experiencing, you want to have a counterbalance, something that transformation. So the language are duality. Sometimes our thoughts are duality, and our expressions becomes duality, and looks like something separate. It's almost like something you are here and trying to doing that. Then that's the language that we have right now. In a meaning-wise, in a definite sense, yes, is a non-dualistic. Is something that we have to. Compassion, we need to open within our own self. Wisdom is we don't kind of like reinventing the world, but we redirecting the awareness. Okay, wisdom is just redirecting awareness, not reinventing awareness. And compassion is you're nothing something you are trying to bringing new door. There's nothing like that. You're just trying to open the old door that you have from the beginning. Less time. So it's like, but the word, the terminology, the communication, the thoughts, they sounds like very duality. That's really true. Yeah. But also, sometimes when we approach very strong non-dualistic terminology and approach, it's very liberating and very exciting, but non-dualistic terminology sometimes is not necessarily clearly connected what's going on, because what's going on is a very dualistic experience. So it brings you excitement and uplifting, but sometimes creates some kind of gap. So some kind of graduate journey from dualistic to non-dualistic, that kind of. So of course, fundamentally, we should understand and be aware non-dualistic is nothing something external. It is everything. Wisdom is redirecting awareness. Compassion is just opening up our heart. Is nothing something you rebuilding something new heart or new door, just opening the old door. Okay, thank you. What you think, this feeling of I don't have time, and of course I was telling, accept meditation, blah, 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 that's kind of easy to say, but what you think will be the solution for this challenge of not having time? This is like, particularly in the West, this is a very, very, I have not enough time. Okay, so that's maybe what you think will be the solution. So that's the question. That's the, if you have any kind of input, or you think like this is a hopeless, or yes.
I think that you make time for what's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I think that even if you jobs, I'm retired now, but I work 24/7, basically before, but I think if something's really important.
Mm-hmm. So since a feeling of very important, and that you feel very necessary, and I think since a feeling a strong value for that practice, then the time will arise, you mean?
Yeah, you'll make time.
You will
for
make it
and-
time.
And maybe the other things will flow easier.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they do or they don't, but.
By
sorry, if you start like it, meditation.
okay.
If you like it, you do it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do it because you don't like it.
Don't like it. Okay, good. So that's the sign. I don't have time because I don't like it. That's good.
If you become like it,
Okay.
no matter what,
Okay.
you start doing it.
Okay. Okay.
I was going to say, this sounds really pragmatic,
Uh-huh.
but it's life, right? So at my job, you work 8 hours.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people full time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds really pragmatic, but it's written in the labor law that you need to take a 15-minute break in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to take a 15-minute break in the afternoon,
Uh-huh.
and you minimally need to take a 30-minute lunch break. That's the law.
That's the law. Okay.
I'm not saying the laws, but
Uh-huh.
I noticed.
Not for
and-
everybody, depends your category.
Yeah, it depends on your category. Yes,
Uh-huh.
some employment settings, but like a union, you're required
Uh-huh.
to give your employees that break.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't take it, that's your responsibility.
Mm.
But it's there for you to take. And I notice so much in healthcare that people don't take their breaks. They take their lunches, they sit at their desk, they keep working. Now, these are supposed to be the people that are taking care of other people. And then I thought, well, the law says you have to take your break.
Okay.
And so I started to think, that's your break, you have to use it. So how are you going to use it? And so that started the process for me, is to use my break
Mm-hmm.
in a way that was effective.
Mm-hmm.
And not sit at my desk, don't talk on the phone, don't chit-chat with someone about what you saw on TV last night. Use that 15-minute space as effectively as you can for yourself. So that's a very small thing, but I found that to be a leverage point in my daily life.
I think that sounds
A little-
really good.
A little point to start with.
We'll create with the meditation union, and then that union requires all the yoginis have to have a 15-minute, 30-minute. Yeah, that sounds
But
good.
it's a small place
Yeah.
to start, right?
Yeah, that's very good. That's good.
Once you do it, I think you're off to do it. Once you make it a part of your day, then you miss it. It's not there.
Mhm.
I think it's, I don't know.
Yeah, in another way to see is the meditation is not so much about creating time, but the meditation is how you manage the time. Maybe we can see sometimes, we have the two duality. Meditation, I need a separate time. No, meditation is how you manage entire your time. Maybe another way to look at it, maybe, is a meditation. Without process of a meditation, everything can go. It's almost like a life without consciousness, without insurance. Maybe, it doesn't really protect. It doesn't really protect. So meditation is all about like the mindfulness. It's how it processes, how it kind of takes. It's not so much separately creating and going through that. In another way to look at that is really good. In the early time, you're saying like, seeing value and then meditating. You will create a time. So that meditation will really make a productive entire time. So another way to look at it. So liking, value, union law. We have many options how to create a time for meditation. We can apply the individual passion, law.
But it's also interesting, before I started meditating, I could be awake for hours at night, trying to fall asleep. Now, it is like the moment I'm done, I'm out. So I think also if you see the benefit by meditating what goes on in your life, that is a good reminder that it is doing something that is beneficial to you.
Definitely.
I find when I tell myself I don't have time to meditate, like I might have a certain amount of time, right? And if I tell myself I don't have time, then I don't start. But if I just say go ahead and do it, then I for some reason I have the time. So I think it also has to do with what I tell myself.
Yeah, how you tell, how you communicate. Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it is these kind of things. Meditation is something that you really liked it. You ask genuinely, yeah, but I don't have time. I really liked it, but there's things I really respect, but somehow I didn't get. And also, I think I feel very necessary. I feel really I have to do it. I feel like this is the only way, but still I feel like I don't have time.
How long is your normal meditation?
My meditation is all-day meditation. I like to think in that way, like you're doing, Now I'm going back to, I was thinking, okay, now, you cannot do that. I want to go back to kind of formal sitting process. So I think, this is I think this question is same thing with the exercise. I think everybody says, I really want to exercise, I have to exercise, and I don't have time to exercise. the meditation and the exercise, these two are what we don't have a time. Usually say, oh, I should exercise. I want to exercise, but I don't have time to exercise. And same thing with the meditation. Okay, so I think how you talk, how you communicate with yourself, how you allow with time of meditation. I think it's like how you approach for the time for the meditation. I think that's playing an important role. And what another obstacle you see for this? I don't have time for meditation. Are we really the surface one we're noticing, or there's something more different? What really makes? Maybe we are labeling for this. I don't have time, but are we missing any other things that we did not have a time for meditation?
I think you were talking about language before, duality or whatever. But it is a language thing because it's the most common way that we excuse, polite way we excuse ourselves or others for responsibility. So if you took time out of the picture, you said, ask yourself the question, why am I not? What am I avoiding? Whatever. Ask yourself more questions. Don't just make it the polite, the time excuse that's a throwaway excuse. It's easy, right? But so take that away. What am I avoiding, or why is it difficult for me? Am I uncovering things in myself that I don't want to face, or whatever? Am I really invested in being a frenetic, disorganized person, or would I really like to have the things that I know I could get from meditation? But maybe those scare me.
Yeah.
So things like that.
Exactly. How you there's a friend of mine, Rinpoche, and he says, the actual, reading the text and memorizing text is not difficult, but the most difficult part is the text getting onto front of me. He says, once that part is somehow he gets, kind of disappears and doing that kind of things. He said, actual text in my front and reading it and memorizing, he says, it's not difficult. Just getting there, So time is maybe something like that. The actual meditation, we're able to do it. It's nothing kind of challenge. But there's some kind of obstacle that's kind of so-called distraction or something that somehow it just push. Okay, let me finish this first, and let me finish this first email, then I'll do it. And then that email goes to New York Times. Then you are furthermore trapped. So there's something that, as you're saying, excuse. Maybe the time is not issue. The issue is the excuse. But we label blame for the time. Maybe there's something that we need to look at more deeper. Where is the excuse happening? Where we are labeling and where excuse going on?
This isn't really an answer to it, but I have noticed that when that comes up, it's the embedded familiarity of my mind with avoidance. That when that comes up, it's familiar. It's eons, as we know, familiar.
Exactly.
It's familiarity. So lately, one strategy that's really helpful for me is to, just like when I'm trying to learn something new, is to go on retreat, because then that helps me get that habit back. And then the retreat seems to be an assessment, in a way, of where my mind is at. When I think I'm not making progress with these little half-hour mornings or half-hour at night, the retreat is like a benchmark that allows me to see, oh wow, there has been some progress. And that, by believing in myself and believing in the process, by going on retreat, it allows me then to continue the routine. The other thing that's been helpful is that in my own mind, in the middle of the day, is that I don't have time. And then lately, how long this will last, but just recognizing that is the familiarity of the ego coming up and saying that. And so I'll just say, not true. Not true. And it's a very quick thing, and it's been very helpful. And it doesn't come up with I don't have time. It comes up with I don't want to breathe into this difficult situation, or I don't want to be compassionate to this person, or whatever it is. It's kind of coming up for myself with a quick stomach or something else. That was just enough. That's enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Rinpoche, I find a comment you made many months ago in a conversation about foreground and background. I'm thinking about that. Very helpful, because you sort of almost casually mentioned how we should be 70% background. And that really stuck in my mind, and I find it very helpful for myself to just notice or catch myself and just go, what if I was in the world 70% background, still paying attention to 30% foreground, whatever the task is, but having actually a predominant sense of being that's more foundational, much more quiet than that. And I find the more I do that, the more my mind gets used to it. So even that question, just flip to 70% background.
Oh, okay, great.
Helps. Like the mind calms down almost immediately.
Perfect. Yeah. Great. Yeah, because this, the reason I came with the time, these things, we're doing different semester. Each semester we have students, assessments, and all the time I have a consistent assessments. The time we don't have time for meditation. Yeah. So. So this looks like a common, is a world that we live, and it demands our attention. And it's so much there it can take our attention. And now here, we as individual person, where do our attention to put the choice that we make? I think this is also playing important role how we choose our attention, because there's a million things can take you, and you can kind of sink into the meditation. So maybe the time is disappear within that. So here the creating time is something that there's like a mindfulness involving the attention that we're given. It's like there's a so it's I think. This is so many different, all the point that you all made it in a place very rich way to understand this frustration of not having time, and then a way to look at it, a way to understand, and I think it's a really, is an important. So for me, sometimes if I'm tired and people want to see me, then I say I'm busy, I have no time. Time is an excuse. Oh, Rinpoche is busy. Actually, I'm not busy. So the time is we use for many different reasons, but mainly for excuse. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's take a short, maybe for 5 to 6, 7 minutes, we just take a short silent meditation, just trying to settle, okay? And then we do a short dedication.